Welcome to Catching Up to Real Estate. I'm Charlene Lewis, and I got my producer Anna here with me, who, by the way, ain't even in real estate. So if you've ever felt lost in all the market talk, trust me, you're not alone. We're breaking it all down: buying, selling, investing, and even how real estate pops up in culture. And just so we're clear, we're talking Washington State real estate. So if you're trying to make moves here or just make sense of the market, we got you. Let's catch up to real estate. Tap in. Welcome back to Catching Up to Real Estate, the podcast where we help you catch up, keep up, and maybe even level up in today's ever-evolving housing market, especially in Washington State. It's May 23rd, and listen, a lot has changed in just a couple weeks, so let's catch you up. As a quick recap of last episode, the inventory was surging, pendings were falling, and prices were holding. So now we're seeing early signs of activity creeping back in, cautiously, but definitively. Let's see. For our first segment, market snapshots. Let's see what's moving, right? So let's look at King County. We are up 25% in new listings, and we are down 9% year over year in pendings. But it's definitely up from last episode. So don't allow the media to over dramatize this drop in pendings. Okay. Median sales price in King County is now $850,000. And if we're looking at Pierce County, we have increased the amount of new listings by 29%. And the amount of pending listings is down by 7% compared to last year. However, it is also up from last time we discussed this, okay? Their median sales price in Pierce County is $545,000 right now, which actually has increased by 3% compared to last year's. And then Thurston County, we are up 21% in new listings, and then they are down 4% pending sales. Let's see, but another week over week improvement. Yes, week over week improvement, definitely. And then a median price of $510,000 in Thurston County. It also increased by 2% compared to last year's. So if we were to break it down, pending sales are still down year over year, but they're climbing week over week. That's a movement, okay? That means buyers catching up to real estate, not sitting it out. Okay, yeah. So let's talk about the real buyer vibes, right? Are buyers still waiting? Yes, but not all of them. I can tell you right now that I have another client. It's a young family. It's their first time purchasing their home. They are experiencing the shock of paying $2,000 or $2,400 a month for a small apartment versus having to spend $4,500 for a house that situates all of them in there. So, and it's in the same county, same area. It's literally a house right behind their complex. And so it's a hard realization, but they're actually, financially speaking, if we look at their portfolio, they actually can afford it, but it's accepting the fact that you're going to be allocating $2,000 more a month towards your living costs. And, not everybody is willing to deal with that. Cash buyers and strategic movers are making early plays. That's what I was talking to you guys about last time, or even with all these episodes, is that if you are strategic in your moves, you will win this game. And right now, that is what it's going to require in order for investors to actually make it. And for people who actually have cash to buy, you got to be very strategic. And right now, it's early season. You guys all know summer is not going to hit until June, which we're not too far away from. Memorial Day hits and everything's going to go crazy. I don't know what to expect then, but I can only hope that the pending sales does continuously increase week over week. So anyway, interest rates haven't budged much, so this activity means people are adjusting expectations. Serious buyers aren't waiting for perfection. This is true. They're acting with clarity, which is true. I see it with the clients that I have right now. I have a seller who wants to fight over $4,000 when their profit is it's the threshold of their profit is we're looking at $500,000 because they purchased their property a long time ago. So they're fighting over $4,000 mainly because, the buyer wanted them to pay for closing costs, and not even that much. It was literally just by $4,000. So, we'll see how that all works for them. I'll give you guys an update next time. And let's see, especially when the sellers still think it's 2022. Yes, some sellers really do think it's still 2022. So let's look at our catching up to strategy, right? For our buyers, this is your season of choice. More inventory, less competition, relatively speaking, because depending on the county that you're trying to purchase in is really dependent on how aggressive that competition is. I can tell you King County has definitely been very, very aggressive. Pierce County, not so much. It's actually doing pretty well. I feel like I'm just very grateful to be in Pierce County. Right now, it's a healthier market than anywhere else within, 2 counties of where Pierce County is. King County there's a lot more money there, but a lot of cash buyers too, and competition isn't that easy to beat. But don't be pressured by media headlines. Act on your situation. I think this is what I always discuss with my clients and everybody who knows me when it comes to real estate. When you ask me a question, I'm always going to reflect it with, where are you sitting? And then you can decide on how you are going to move. Okay. So for our sellers, if your listing isn't moving, it's not the market, it's your marketing or your pricing or your prep. So there's 3 different things that you're going to look at as a seller. If your agent hasn't sold your house yet, and, but also don't expect it to get sold within a month. Let's be real here. Okay. You want good buyers who are going to take the time to look at your property and actually, be willing to spend the money on your property. But don't get freaked out if you haven't sold your house in less than a month, okay? That's kind of normal. It should take about 2 months for your house to sell, okay? Minimum. So let's see. So if your agent hasn't sold your property within a month or 2, then maybe you want to have them evaluate their marketing, evaluate the price of the house. Maybe you're overpriced, right? And that's something that most sellers don't want to hear, is that they're overpriced. Okay, for your investors, yes, for investors, I really believe you should look into Thurston. You should look into Pierce County. Look for stale listings with opportunity. I found a house here out in Pierce County. It's on the market for $375. If anybody's an investor and is willing to do that work, it might be worth it, but if I were you, I would probably lowball them. Just saying, because that house is only worth $450,000, and they want $375, and the work that's going to take to build that property up is probably going to cost about $50 to $60,000. So there's not really a lot of profit. It's probably going to sit there for a while. I don't anticipate it leaving the market anytime soon unless they drop their price. Let's see. Look for sale listings, okay? Catching up doesn't mean catching the bottom. It means showing up with a plan before everyone else does. Guys hear that? Catching up doesn't mean catching the bottom. It means showing up with a plan before everyone else does. That's why I do this podcast. I love what I do. I really enjoy the work. It can be chaotic. It can be crazy. It can be slow, but I'm always here to provide anybody who needs a plan for their real estate goals. Okay, give me a call. Anyway, let's recap this episode. Let's see. Market is moving just slower, right? It is moving, but it's just moving just a little slower. And inventory is still king, and pendings are trying to catch up. For sure. I mean, if it has dropped in the amount of year over year, like I said before, the first episode, I believe I advised you guys that technically it's like a slow growth. And that's what we're going through right now. It's a slow growth. Get your home value, get a game plan, or just slide in my DMs if you're curious. Really, you probably do want to do that. You want to get your home value. You want to figure what that is. If you are a seller and you don't know what your house is valued at, you deserve more than a Zestimate, okay? You deserve more than a Redfin estimation. You actually need somebody who's going to pay attention to your property, pay attention to what it provides, or maybe what it lacks, and then look at the real number of what it's worth. I'm not going to sugarcoat things for you. I'm sorry. I'm just not that agent. Okay. And if you're liking this series, share this episode, because I'm actually going to be changing it more within the next, season, because this is the 6th episode for this year. We're coming up on the end of May. 2 more months and we're at the middle of the year. Okay. So after that, you might see some changes as far as like how it's presented, mainly because I no longer have my producer. They have other work as well. And I am going to produce this from here on out on my own. And if I happen to get any collaborators, let me know. If you guys want to collaborate, I'm all for it. I really love networking. So you guys hit me up. Okay. But anyway, if you're liking this series, share this episode with someone who's been sleeping on the market, okay? And this has been Catching Up to Real Estate. The spring shift is here, and you are not too late. You're just in time. So I'll catch you guys next week, or catch you on the next episode.